Hello, welcome along to Sportsbet TV. This is Paul Alster here with you, and very much looking forward to some great racing coming up. Saturday, the 23rd of October, and there's some really good action across Britain and Ireland, but I'm going to be focusing on 3 races at Cheltenham. Yes, Cheltenham's back, thank goodness. And we'll also have one for you on the flat at Newbury. Now, if you're new to the service, do press the subscribe button just below this screen and tell your friends as well to subscribe for free. It's well worthwhile, and anybody that's been following us over the period of time since we started will have made a very nice profit. And indeed, over the last couple of months, really since the EBOR meeting, I just want to focus on that and just how well things have been going. If you remember at the EBOR meeting, we had a couple of nice winners, very nice winners. Flaming Rib won, remember, owned by Michael Owen for Tom Dascombe. He went in there at 16-1. That was a cracking winner at York. And then the next day, we tipped the winner of the Nunthorpe. Winter Power recommended at 9-1. And he was also the centerpiece of a big place treble that day as well. And do remember that, unlike most tipsters, I'm not giving you a stack of tips every day. I just tip normally 4 horses at the weekend, and then we'll give you some recommendations during the big festival meetings, but I'm not throwing them at you willy-nilly and just going for the scattergun approach. So that was Flaming Rib and Winter Power. Then into September, the Matron Stakes over in Ireland, of course, No Speak Alexander, 25-1 winner there for Jesse Harrington and Shane Foley. That was a tremendous success. It was very, very pleasing. But we went and topped that again a week later with the winner of the Air Gold Cup, Bielsa, who was tipped here on this service. I gave you him at 11-1. He was well back during the day. And remember him ploughing his own furrow all the way down the stand side to confound most of the pundits, but not us. Ingizati was also a big winner that day for us at 7-1, giving us a 95-1 double on Gold Cup Day. Then a couple of weeks ago, the almost impossible Coral Sprint Trophy. I gave you a horse called Volatile Analyst for Keith Dalglish, Callum Rodriguez. I tipped him at 33-1 on the Friday lunchtime. He was well backed overnight, down to 11-1, and he won. But 33s for those of you that were on early, or at the very least, the likes of 25 and 22 as the price started to be trimmed. And then last week we did it again. It was the Champions Stakes over at Ascot, and I told you the French horse was likely to really improve for that run in the Arc, dropped back 2 furlongs. Seelyway it was, and Seelyway won under a great ride from Mikhail Barcelona, and he went in there at 14-1. Now, I've just highlighted some of the winners. There were others over the period, and it has been tremendously profitable. Let's hope it continues now as we move into the later autumn and early winter schedule and start to focus on the jumpers. And I'm going to move on right now and take you to the first race for this weekend, which is at Cheltenham. The 1:45 race is a 2-mile conditional jockey's handicap hurdle. And there are 16 runners in this race. The going is generally good. I don't think they're anticipating any rain. Now, Paul Nicholls has won this twice in the last 7 years, and he's got the likely favourite around 94 at the time of this recording, Friday lunchtime. Horse called Samarive, who's 2 from 2, an ex-French horse who won at Kempton on his jumps debut in April, and potentially could be very, very favourably handicapped, but we'll have to wait and see. But he's no price at 9-4, even 5-2. Fergal O'Brien has been enjoying a very good summer and autumn, and he runs 3 here. Samba Dancer is on a hat-trick, Byzantine Empire, and Timberman. Preference among that trio is for Byzantine Empire, who's having his first run since a wind operation, so he might be one to fear. And also worth fearing here is the Rebecca Menzies trained runner, Ingleby Hollow, who I think is a pretty fair each-way chance in this race. Her horses often go off for bigger prices than they should because she's not a particularly fashionable trainer, although she's very much up and coming. My choice, though, is a horse called BLACKO, who's trained by Evan Williams and is ridden by his daughter, the very capable Isabel Williams, who claims £3. Now, this horse is quite interesting. He was formerly trained by Alan King, who, of course, is one of the top trainers, an ex-French horse. He won his first 2 starts in the UK over the Christmas to early January period of 2019, 2020. And then he went off favourite, no less, on his next start at the Cheltenham Festival for the 2020 Fred Winter Hurdle. He was rated 135. Something went wrong that day, just didn't run his race and was pulled up. Now, he had a couple of runs last autumn and was disappointing, and then had a wind operation, and he had 3 runs in the late winter, 2 of those over fences, and didn't shine. Now, what interests me here are a few things. First of all, he's moved to a new yard, and Evan Williams is a good trainer. He's also very well capable of getting one ready first time out. And this horse has been given a chance by the handicapper because he's down now to 123. And with Isabel's £3 claim, he's running off 120, which is a stone and more below his mark in the Fred Winter just 18 months ago. So if he still retains most of his ability, as you would hope he would, I think that first time out could be the time to catch him. And the odds on offer at the moment are 20 to 1. And that's each way for 5 places with quite a lot of firms. So 20 to 1 each way, BLACKO. I'll be surprised if there's a big market move for him because there's whispers around for quite a few different horses in this race. So BLACKO, remember to look out for a firm where, if possible, they'll give you the starting price if it proves to be bigger than the price you take. That can really make a big difference to your profit and loss over a season, as I've said more than a time or two on this service here at Sportsbet. So BLACKO, 20 to 1 each way, is my first choice Saturday in the 145 race at Cheltenham. And then we're going to switch code, go back to the flat. It's coming towards the end of the season. Of course, at Doncaster, you've got the Virtum Futura too, with that Luxembourg likely to go well at short odds. But I couldn't get excited about anything at Doncaster. But at Newbury, the 2 o'clock is a race that's worth a look. It's the Group 3 Horace Hill Stakes for 2-year-olds, and it's in heavy ground. Now, to be honest, this is a race that over the last decade or so hasn't thrown up too many star performers other than Mohartha in 2018, who proved himself to be very, very talented. Many of the others have been a bit disappointing. Now, the ground is going to be the biggest factor here because they're forecasting heavy ground, and along with it being the end of the season, fatigue coming into play with some of these young juvenile 2-year-old horses. And on top of that, some of the more late maturing horses with less obvious form coming out at the end of the term, you're always likely to get a bit of a turn up. Now, the favourite is Noble Truth, trained by Charlie Appleby, who's had that fantastic season for Godolphin. And this horse beat Seeyouatmidnight by a nose at Doncaster in a listed race over the 7 furlongs, but on good to firm ground in September. Now, that's not to say he doesn't go with cut, because he ran a blinder in heavy ground at Longchamp just a couple of weeks ago when second in the Group 1, Jean-Luc Lagardère. He had a hard race, though, there. And as we've seen a time or two already with horses that have had hard races at the Art meeting, it often leaves its mark. And I think he's probably worth taking on. Now, Seeyouatmidnight for Andrew Balding, he's had a 6-week break since that race. And if they do decide to risk him on the heavy ground, he could well reverse the placings with Noble Truth. Roger Varian, really great trainer. He runs a Dubai Poet, who I think you have to respect on his 3rd in a Group 3 over the mile. That was behind Caribus, who's a smart horse of Charlie Appleby's 2 weeks ago. He previously won very well on good ground over this course and distance in September. And David Simcock has a fascinating runner called Light Infantry, who was pretty impressive when he won on debut at Yarmouth over 6 furlongs, made mincemeat of them, actually. He's taking on a lot more here, but obviously he's well regarded. And I think the same comment applies to my selection, which is a horse called TACARIB Bay, trained by Richard Hannon and ridden by the exotically named Thor Hammer Hansen, who sounds more as though he should be starring in the Vikings, but he's a very, very useful jockey, as we've all found out over the last few seasons. Now, TACARIB Bay has only had the 1 run, and that was at Haydock over 6 furlongs on soft ground in a maiden back on the 27th of May, which he won by a length. He won very nicely, beating the favourite there, King Max, a horse who hasn't run since. But further back in the field, the third, fourth, fifth, and the seventh, and remember, it was only an 8-runner race, they've all come out and won since. And at least one of them has won a few races. So the form looks to be pretty solid. Now, why has we not seen TACARIB since then? I don't know. Maybe he had a minor issue. Maybe they still felt he was immature and needed a little bit more time. But they've decided to bring him back. And the fact that they're bringing him back to run in a Group 3 suggests that, one, they think he's fit and well, and two, he may well have improved. Well, they'll have to have done since his win at Haydock. Now, they could have, I'm sure, gone for a handicap and tried to exploit a mark. And they're risking a handicap mark by getting close, finishing in the places behind a horse such as Noble Truth. So they obviously feel this horse is good enough to hold his own at pattern level. And Richard Hannon's such a great trainer, and I particularly like his training of juveniles. And because of that, I think he's going to give the favourite and one or two others a proper race here. Now, TACARIB Bay, there's been bits and pieces of money for him. It was a general 14-1 chance Friday morning. Now at Friday lunchtime, he's still available at 14-1 with a few firms, including the Betfair Sportsbook, Paddy Power and Bet365. And he's my choice here. TACARIB Bay, each way 14-1 at Newbury in the 2 o'clock, the Horace Hill Stakes. And then we're going to concentrate on two more races at Cheltenham. The first at 2:20. Now, this one is a 3-mile, 1 furlong handicap chase. These Cheltenham chases, of course, are really what it's all about, proper national hunt racing. 14 runners, good ground. And the regular followers who've been with me a while might want to cast their minds back exactly a year when I tipped you the great Frodon to win in this race, even with a massive weight. And he went and did it for us at 5-1. So hopefully this is a lucky race and we might be able to go back to back in this contest. Now, the heart says cloth cap, of course, because this fine chaser represents the late Trevor Hemmings, who we lost earlier this week, a wonderful supporter of national hunt racing and by all accounts a real gent. So it would be great to see his colours are carried to victory by a horse who, of course, won the Ladbroke Trophy last season, the old Hennessy Gold Cup. He's now £20 higher, and he's going to have to be absolutely spot on, I think, if he's going to win first time out off this much higher mark. Now, Storm Control for Richard Patrick is a horse who won twice over course and distance here last autumn. So a big danger, I think, and he's back to his last winning mark of 137 Storm Control. Demand de Lille represents Sean Curran, who's done well with this one. It won over 3¼ miles at Cheltenham's spring meeting. And then we've got the Irish Raider, Go Another One, trained by John McConnell, a trainer I have a lot of time for. And you may remember I tipped him at the Cheltenham Festival, and the race eventually won by Mount Ida. But at a big price, Go Another One came into the home straight at Cheltenham, going better than anything. But he just didn't get home over the 3¼ miles and faded going to the last. Well, he's back to 3 miles 1 here, which will help, and he won't be a million miles away. But there's one here that is a big price, and I think can go well. He's called Trucker's Lodge, and he's trained by the champion Paul Nicholls and is the mount of Lorcan Williams, who claims £3, pictured here at the end of a rather muddy race, alternatively a rather messy meal. Now, this Trucker's Lodge has won 6 of 18. He's a 9-year-old, best known, of course, for his win in the 2020 Midlands National over 4¼ miles in heavy ground. So stamina is undoubtedly his strong suit. Remember, he also finished second in the Welsh National to Potter's Corner a few months earlier at the end of 2019. But I don't see him just as an out-and-out slogger, a plodder. I think he's a horse who has shown form on better ground, on good and good to soft. And I expect him to go well because, one, he's a horse who runs well fresh, and this is his first run of the season. And he was actually on his way probably to a victory first time out last term when he unseated Ryder. He was still going very, very well indeed when he lost his rider that day. So I think that with Lorcan Williams claiming the £3 and running off 147, he's got every chance, particularly as they're likely to go a cracking gallop. And if that is the case, a lot of these are going to be gasping for breath coming up the hill. And my view is that Trucker's Lodge, if he's within about 5 or 6 lengths of them at the home turn. He's going to come home probably better than anything. So Truckers Lodge, 16 to 1 each way with 4 places available. And that at this point in time is available with such as Bet Victor, Betfred, Boyle Sports, and a few others as well. So 16 to 1 each way, Truckers Lodge for the champion trainer, Paul Nicholls, in the 220 at Cheltenham. And then my final choice is in the 405 race at Cheltenham. Now, this is a qualifier for the Betemps Network Hurdle. It's a handicap, of course. 3 miles, 15 runners. They're always really tough races, these. And one of the things that's always worth bearing in mind is that I can't remember the exact qualification rules, but I think if you finish in the first 6, then you do qualify to take your chance in the final at Cheltenham. It could even be the first 8 in some of the races. So not all the horses might just be trying to win. You know, they might be trying to hold the handicap back a bit, keep the light under a bush. Well, of course, the trainers would never say that. They're all doing the best. So I think that has to be borne in mind. But there's a few runners here from Ireland, and they could easily, qualify in Ireland. So I think it's interesting to take the trouble to come here. And one of them is Tullybeg, who's likely to be favourite for Gordon Elliott. 4 to 1 shot. He has won a couple of races of late, which I've broadcast, and he's won them nicely. I think he needs to step up a bit, especially off a £10 higher mark here to score again. We've got David Pipe's Panic Attack, who was rock solid last season, always there or thereabouts, and I think he'll be on the premises again. Shannon Bridge represents Dan Skelton. He's top weight, won his last 2, won an Ascot handicap hurdle, but I think this horse is probably best on soft ground. So this quicker ground might just find him out unless there happens to be a big shower from somewhere. And we've got Nicky Henderson's Haul Away. This one had a good summer. He's won 3 of his 4 starts, including over fences. And it's lovely as well to see good old favourite To Be Fair, who's such a credit to his trainer now, an 11-year-old. He won the final at the Cheltenham Festival a couple of years ago. £17 lower now, not the horse of old, but it wouldn't surprise to see this return to his favourite venue just spark a little bit of a revival. All that said, my choice here is one of the Irish Raiders, and his name is Born Patriot, and he's trained by Peter Fahey and is the mount of Kevin Sexton, who, of course, you'll remember teamed up to win the county hurdle with Belfast Banter, and of course then went on to win a Grade 1 with that horse towards the end of last season. So they know how to come and win a race at Cheltenham, and this 5-year-old is an unexposed horse. He's only run 7 times, and he won only 1 of those, and that was on his debut, which came actually less than a year ago in November of 2020, when he popped up first time out at Dato 80 to 1, winning a Punchestown maiden hurdle over 2 3/4 miles. But he went on to prove that was no fluke by placing a few times after that, running really well in defeat, including when 3rd to Snugsborough Hall at Killarney in May in a good staying handicap hurdle. He had a 131-day break before finishing 4th recently, and that was behind the anticipated favourite for Saturday, Tullybeg, and that was at Navan last month. Now, Tullybeg beat Born Patriot just under 10 lengths. But Born Patriot is now, 1, is £8 better off, and 2, will be fitter for that first run after a near 5-month break. So I think everything says that Born Patriot now has conditions in his favour. He'll light the ground. They're travelling him over from Ireland. He's £8 better off with the favourite, and he'll be better for the run. So for me, solid each way claims. And it looks as though I'm not alone in this train of thought, because he was 10 to 1 when they went up overnight Thursday. That price is going 9 to 1. I'm struggling to find that now. That's gone when I had a look about 10 minutes ago. And 8 to 1 is the best price each way. So 8 to 1 each way at the time of this recording for Born Patriot. Shop around. You should be able to get at least 4 places for your money. And here's the last of my 4 for this weekend selections. Now, of course, they're all decent prices, big prices. We're taking a chance as ever. If you're interested in shorter price contenders, then of course I'm looking more to the head of the market over at freebets.com, where I've also been putting up a nice few winners of late. So that's worth checking out also on the YouTube channel. But for now, here at Sportsbet, from me, Paul Alster, I hope you enjoy your racing. Great to have Cheltenham back. And I look forward to speaking to you again, same time next week. Bye-bye for now.